the lieutenants, the captains, the sergeants, and the detectives. Proud to have their endorsements, along with the first responders and the EMTs. They are the original first responders. They have been keeping us safe for years. The fact that their voices have been muted, along with bail reform and victims' voices have been muted, is not fair to the everyday New Yorker here in New York City. We have done a good job of working with the coronavirus. We're at the tail end, but yet we still have an epidemic of gun violence. We still have an epidemic of violent crime. We cannot stay deaf to it. We have to pay attention. It is only going to get worse if we do not stand up and take a stand. That is why I'm running for Manhattan District Attorney, because I understand, as a native New Yorker, this is my home. And home is a place where everyone gets to feel safe. And people are not feeling safe in New York, and we need to speak to it. Last night I went to a precinct council meeting about this very park. It is not coincidental we are in Washington Square Park. Washington Square Park has been calling out. There have been quality of life crimes, there have been drug dealing, there are soon to be violent crimes. We need to be ahead of it so that everyone feels safe. Washington Square Park is emblematic of the rest of New York City. And the rest of New York City, in every neighborhood, people are not feeling safe. It's funny that we're here today because Shirley Hayes, back in the 1950s, worked on Washington Square Park and standing up to Robert Moses and saying no cars in Washington Square Park. And she and her friend, someone who I look up to, Eleanor Roosevelt, really worked to make the park a no-car place. Today, we don't have cars, we have crime. And no one is talking about it. We need to talk about it. We need to highlight it and say we do not want this. I am just as much a candidate here today as I am a constituent. I come to the park every morning because I have a dog, and we use the park. The park is here for families. The park is here for families and for children and for everyone to use. Washington Square Park has a storied history of artists and performers and people coming to enjoy green spaces. They also have a storied history of protest. What are we going to do if people's voices cannot be heard in this park? We need to stand up to bail reform. A big problem of bail reform is that they are issuing desk appearance tickets for people who have multiple open cases. We need to call on the state legislature today to change bail reform so that people who have open cases do not get desk appearance tickets, that they are put in front of a judge. So a judge can make a determination if somebody needs to have mental health services or addiction services or some sort of intervention. And if appropriate, jail should not be off the table. The fact of the matter is we cannot keep silent to what all the options are. We have to treat everyone fairly and constitutionally. I have worked on both sides of the courtroom. I was in a Manhattan VA for 6 years. I've been a defensive attorney for the past 12 and a half years. I understand what it's like to be on either side of the courtroom. But ignoring one side of the courtroom, which is victims, and those victims come in everyday citizens. They come in people who've been victims of crime. And we need to take a stand and say this is not okay. And in saying that this is not okay, that we are there to stand up for families and children and for everyone to use this park. And to keep it so that people do not suffer from gun violence. Gun violence is the other epidemic, as I said, that has been plaguing this city. And gun violence has to end. It's not going to end without a partnership with the police. The police, the detectives, lieutenants, captains, and sergeants who are here today understand the epidemic of gun violence more than anybody else. They're here because they know I am the candidate who can help stop it. To help stop it means by fairly prosecuting cases, by understanding there's a presumption of jail when you're carrying an illegal gun here in New York. You know why that presumption exists? It keeps a lot of people from carrying illegal guns. We need bail reform now. We need to make sure that everyone knows that the district attorney's office is a law enforcement agency that is here for everyone. Thank you so much for your time and your attention to this. I really appreciate it.